And now I would like to call upon Layana, Muhdi, Tounsi. This year's valedictorian, as you noticed.
Chancellor Cody, President and Vice Chancellor Carr, Dr. Kawas, distinguished guests and participants, fellow students, family, and friends. I'm pleased to address you today on behalf of the graduating students. To the incredibly skilled and talented engineers and computer scientists, my fellow graduates, we did it! Congratulations! You can finally delete Discord, and there will be no more SIS no reply email job scares. My journey at Gina Cody has not been the easiest. It was full of ups and downs, and I'm sure many of you can relate. Some days, I felt like I had it all together, and other days, I was completely lost. When I first applied to Concordia, I was still in the Middle East, Syria, to be exact, a place where the future often felt uncertain and hope was something you had to fight for. I used to wonder what my future would really look like or if I'd even be given the chance to have one. Back then, I had no background in coding and no real exposure to tech, but I was drawn to it. I was obsessed with the idea that maybe someday I could be part of something bigger. So I started my application. I listed software engineering as my first option. And as a backup, I threw in biochemistry in there. I submitted the form thinking, this is it, a future I could finally believe in. And I was so excited, then I got rejected. And I remember that moment so clearly, and not because of the rejection letter, but because it felt like someone had ripped away the future that I was already living in my head. And I had no plan B. So I felt crushed, small, thinking maybe I had been foolish for even daring to imagine more. A few days later, I got the offer in biochemistry, but I accepted it not because I wanted it, but because deep down, I still believed that I would find a way back to software engineering. Then came Canada. A new country, a new life, the cold, the culture shock, the daily struggle, everything was unfamiliar, and I was terrified. I followed the biochemistry path, but my heart was not in it. So one day I asked what it would take for me to transfer to software engineering, and the answer was simple: very high GPA and straight A's in math. But I was working 30 hours a week back then and studying full-time, so I had to fight for grades that others could just afford to coast through. Still, I needed to prove that I belonged, to silence that voice in my head that still whispered, "You are not good enough," and that voice was loud. But somehow, I made it. I transferred. And that's when the real work began, because it didn't get easier. Everyone around me seemed to know the basics, and I hadn't written a single line of code. I felt overwhelmed, constantly playing catch up, but I persevered. I worked hard because often it's not about how much you know at the start, it's about how much you're willing to try. And I know I'm not the only one. Every single person here has their own story, their own struggles they had to overcome. Maybe yours was studying in a language that is not your first, or being thousands of miles away from your family. Maybe it was working late shifts just to make ends meet. Whatever it was, you made it through your version of the story. And if you're sitting here today, it doesn't mean you just survived. You worked hard, you achieved, and you have earned every second of this moment. Today, I want to reflect on what it means to arrive at a moment like this, when one thing ends and everything else suddenly starts. I mean, it's exciting, yes, but the unknown, the uncertainty, let's be honest, is scary. Maybe you're trying to land the job of your dreams in a market that feels so cutthroat. Or maybe you're still trying to figure out what you actually dream of doing. Or maybe the only thing you're certain about right now is how uncertain you feel. But in moments like this, I want you to pause and remember all the nights you stared at those unclear assignment requirements. I mean, they were clear, we just had no idea what we were doing back then. Or the many times your buggy code made ChatGPT question their existence. Or the many times you had to breathe the FG building air. Or the times your imposter syndrome hit you out of nowhere, right in the middle when you were doing something you're actually good at. It felt endless, but we made it. And that's the part I hope you carry with you. You have it in you, so keep pushing and trust yourself as much as you trusted that curve. Along the way, we've met people that changed everything. Friends who became family, teachers who became inspirations, and teammates who gave us crew project trauma. But we've always had the joy of celebrating each other's wins, and that experience of community has shaped us more than any course or grades could have. In a few years, you will walk past a whole building and you won't really remember the brutal 7 p.m. final exams, but you will remember the people who made it possible because that's what our journey really was, a shared one. Now, as we leave this chapter and step into the next, it is important to carry that same sense of connection with us, remembering too that engineering above else is about people, the people we work with and the public we serve. It is not just about designing and building systems or writing code. It's about understanding that every solution we create and every decision we make impacts a life. And with that comes great responsibility, not just to be good at what you do, but to be good while you do it. Uplift, be honest, be kind, and build with integrity. Leave behind you a legacy that can be taught to others. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
Well done. Wow, thank you, Layana. And remember, engineering is about people. And we are delighted that you made it.